Shut up, Schmuel. Shut up, Schmuel.
And we're live. It's I, Schmuel Bachman. Happy Tuesday night to everyone. Glad you're here. Let's pull this down and let's put this up. And there we go. What's going on, kids? Schmuel, I got two lovely guests that we're just gonna bring right in. Keep the intro very short tonight. And here we go. I have the lovely, talented, and charming Annie, the review girl. Hi, Annie.
Oh, hello.
Did I catch you by surprise?
No, I was waiting very patiently.
Cool.
You did catch me by surprise by sending me the link so late, though.
I completely forgot to do it. And also joining us, my good friend, Mr. Dave Sarah.
Hello. Hi, Annie. Nice seeing you again.
Hey, stranger. How you been?
Good. How you doing?
Good. I'm excited to be here.
Cool. Somebody has like a fan going in the background, maybe? Oh. And I thought they'd start this off. Somebody did a really lovely picture of me today. And I just love, I call it fan art. You guys just say, hey, it's just poor AI. But I thought this was pretty fantastic. And there I am for all to see.
That's
That
great.
looks like
Very
nasty
Halloween-y.
Yeah, and it's the only day of the year that people appreciate me. I think that's my regular look. And but that's it. So David, how are you?
I'm doing well. I've done a lot of podcasting the last couple days, but I'm well. What about you, buddy?
And you
Everything
did
good?
we're gonna talk a little bit about that. We'll talk a little bit about Chad and Dan and
Little
their
stream snipe.
pod,
A watch
yeah,
along. A watch along.
a little watch along. And Annie, you said you've been on the computer all day.
The last couple of days, I've bought new equipment, and as new equipment brings new problems, so had to spend days troubleshooting and making sure my main system was up and running and all stable, so I can start building a second computer. Because as a gamer, I tend to push my computer pretty hard, and as if you can't tell, I have quite a few screens, which puts even more of a tax on my computer. So I want a second computer just to run OBS, so I can get that off my computer, which hogs so much of my resources.
Two stream setup over here. Professional.
I'm trying.
Gal. Hey.
$2 from Leo Gunn. You got little oral Annie tonight. Nice get. Thank you. We're glad she's here.
Little oral Annie. I never heard that. That's a good one.
So
Is it because I have fucked up teeth? That makes sense.
oh, I thought it was I thought you were Annie
Rude.
Orion.
Oh,
Hey.
rude.
Congrats to Mint Diggity for becoming a member. Thank you. And we'll talk about memberships in a little while. I just got monetized last week, so this is a little bit new to me here.
Money.
And
Congratulations.
thank you. And it doesn't really mean anything, I've learned.
Not with that attitude.
Well, no, I mean, it was great. It was like a respect thing. Like I was really happy to make it, but I had to laugh because I'm like, people are like, oh, you get monetized. And then you realize that, yeah, you do, but people got to send stuff, it's doing it. All right. So Toronto is winning 4-1. That's good news. Hey, the final boss just became a member. He'd rather become a member than come on the show. So there we go with that. Sorry, we're getting a couple of these out of the way. And thank you very much, Mint. and we'll talk about that. You just got it there, buddy. I'm behind. I'm behind as always.
Dang, you got your already first unmembership.
Yeah, I know, right? They're membering and unmembering at the same time. I do love the people that go like, I'm unsubscribing. Like they get pissed off at you and they're like, I'm unsubscribing and like yelling at you. And I never even know what I did, you know? So, hey, I want to say hi to Lady KB, and you guys have met, and you're gorgeous. And let's we can start with that. To Annie, you're in the for those who don't know, and I don't know how you wouldn't know, you're in the Dabbleverse.
Yeah, I'm
Much
pretty
more than
involved.
all of us. Yeah, much more than all of us. And Annie is a review does the reviews on WATP. Annie's at all the events.
I'm
Annie's
also a top tier lurker. Not enough people give me credit on how well I lurk. I start like maybe put one chat at the beginning of the stream as it starts up or the intro song goes in, and then I don't say like anything in the chat, but that doesn't mean I'm not watching and I'm not there.
I like your style. I like your style. The old lurk.
What you do, because you also
do
know
too.
stuff that like I don't see you, right? Like I'm not seeing you, but yet you seem to know everything that's going on. So yeah, that's the
It's like you're lurking almost.
you're almost it's almost like you're a lurker.
Yeah.
It helps that I don't really have a life outside of this room, so it's if there's a show on, I try to catch it live.
Well,
Tuesdays are the day that I get behind, especially if multiple people are doing their shows. Like, I used to always watch Who Are These Broadcasters, but we started doing a book show covering a book called Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. And that has taken up my Tuesday morning and afternoon because I read/listen to the book and then we review it and dissect it on the podcast, which is now live on Spurksnake's channel. If you want to check it out, it's going live on Thursday.
Oh, cool.
Now, is Robert Jordan related to Tommy Jordan? Fuck yeah. But second of all, the damn, I forgot what my second of all was gonna be.
So that is on Spurksnake's channel starting this week on Thursday.
Oh yeah, Schmuel.
Is
What
that
I was gonna say was, I'm sorry, I
Okay.
didn't mean to interrupt you, but yes, Schmuel. See, when you become famous like Annie and I, when you go into people's chats and you start chatting, people like it takes away from the streamer sometimes, but we don't want that. So a lot of us big time Dabbleverse stars, we really we lurk more than we really type.
I always appreciate that. What I love about you, Dave, is how you kick me when I'm down. It's just, it's
Right.
fantastic. And
Yes.
so that's the deal. I'm going to make us all a little bit bigger here. And Annie spent one afternoon on the internet with me attempting to get OBS and StreamYard and all of that together and the ability to receive super chats or super tips at the same time. And I could only get the text ones. I wasn't able to get voice ones. And we had this like whole hybrid system set up and we had it working. And within an hour, I screwed it up. So I just went to Evmux and I bought the one with, it's got the easier web source. And that's worked so far. So
In Schmuel's defense, my setup is complicated, but it works for me, and it allows a lot of very fine control, which a lot of people don't really need. So using a simpler platform like Evmux, as you call it, is probably a lot better for a lot of people. I mean, hey, if Karmic can make it work, then anybody can, right?
Hey.
yes, what do you call it? What's the name?
I don't know. I don't even try to say it out loud because they need to just rebrand into something. They just need to come up with some name like
Reverse it.
Zoom
Reverse it.
Yeah, something. Yeah. Anything. It shouldn't be that many
F-Mux.
syllables. It shouldn't be debatable on how to say your company's name.
So the company was originally VMix,
That's much
And-
better.
Already better name.
and
VMix.
changed the name. But they were, oh, God, I can't remember. They were primarily like a business tool, I think, something along those lines. And I, l- I didn't know that. I heard that the other day, and then I'm laughing because I'm like, they probably paid somebody like millions of dollars to come up with this uh, EVMUC system, but even their own people call it something different. I heard a guy call it EVMUX the other day, but I was watching one of their videos and the guy was calling it EVMUX, EVMUX, and then another guy EVMUX. and
Right,
it was-
exactly. It's
much.
so confusing. Like
It's the whole
like,
mux
you just need.
part.
This is $3 from Annie. Thank you, Annie. The guests pay me to come on this show. This
That's how
is me
famous you are
paying
now.
my dues on the show. Thank you so much, Annie.
Money.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to get your super tip up there. So, Annie, let's go with. Sorry, I got that whole you can't do quiet thing still rocking in my head, and with Dave, I usually don't have to worry about
Yeah.
it.
Hey Annie, so what kind of give me some games you've played that you enjoy playing in the past and currently and stuff like that.
Well, for my upcoming review tomorrow, we're doing Dead Space 2, covering it with Mondays Weekly. It's a really decent game. It's like a hallway horror shooter. Pretty good. It's a lot more actiony than the first game in the series. And earlier this month, we covered Callisto Protocol, which was created by the same guy who created Dead Space. And despite the fact that you made a game that I love so much, you ended up making a piece of shit that I didn't enjoy at all. So it's going to be nice to be able to go from last week, which is like the first game I reviewed on my show that I didn't like, to a game that I have nothing but good things to say. So I'm excited for tomorrow's episode.
Wow. All right.
I was
in.
reading the Wall Street Journal today. To humble brag.
We're talking gamings.
And they're talking about Amazon laying off 14,000 people.
Wow.
In
That's
their
not
work.
enough.
And it has something to do with they're laying off a whole bunch of Twitch, and they're not going to be investing money. And I think they're called, is it MMO games, which is mega.
Massive multiplayer online.
Right. So they're not going to be they're doing that. And Cigarette Jones is correcting me and saying 30,000.
Wow, 30,000. That sounds like a lot of moderators.
Okay, that is more of about enough. If you're gonna cut out a big bunch of people, just go with a bigger number and then rehire it if you need to.
Yeah, I like it.
And so, but what are those people what do they do? I read about the 14K, which was people in the home office kind of stuff, like admin and whatnot. But this cutting back of Twitch, and you're saying getting rid of moderators. What's that?
No, I mean, just 30,000 people sounds like a lot. I mean, how many employees could they? I mean,
A few 100,000, I think.
How many could you
yeah,
really
that's
need to run Twitch?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't.
I'm
I don't
surprised they're
know.
not a payment processor yet. That's fucking weird. How come you can't just donate directly to Twitch? That's so stupid.
I don't know anything about banks, so I'm not going to get
Yeah.
into that discussion.
I mean, even Rumble could do that.
Do you still have to? Why you still have to use like a third party? Is that the?
Yeah, you have to use like Streamlabs, Venmo, PayPal.
I mean, you
And,
can donate bits, I think, right? Which just
Bits,
you just but
But it's like, it's not exactly the same.
Cigar Jones. No, it's
cash
across the
money,
company.
baby. I guess it
Managers, HR, ops, engineering.
I bet they're not getting rid of janitors.
No, no.
Let's hope so. But we had all those like remember
Kick also
Yeah.
is putting pressure.
you had the people that were like going like, oh, this is my day, when they would walk into like Microsoft or something, and it'd be, I'm gonna go get a smoothie, and then we're gonna walk by, this is where we hang out, and I'm like, how does any work get done?
Plus, you got to figure a lot of that Twitch subscriber shit that the guys are getting, that the people are getting, a lot of those are Twitch Prime, and a lot of them are free essentially. So Amazon ain't making all that money, if anything, on that. They're not making any extra money, at least.
It's hard unless you start looking like into the numbers to
Yeah.
figure out like how big these things actually are.
Well, they had a
And
big view botting issue that they just got rid of recently, or they've been trying to get rid of. But again, Kick, I think, like, they took all the people with money away. You know, like, they took all the edgier, kind of older people, and their crowd is the crowd with all the money. So I don't know.
It's one of those cases of a victim of your own success. Kick started off just being like, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You can just gamble, do crimes, murder, have sex, do whatever the hell you want on our platform. And then they started getting a lot of money because people were like, we can do whatever we want, sweet. And then they started getting deals and other things. And then they're like, oh, well, now we're making a lot of money. We can't piss off MasterCard.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what would happen. That's what would happen to Rumble if Rumble started getting, things other than survival food and, a safety knife. Which kind of blows me away. But I was surprised also too to find out about Rumble that the split deal between Rumble and the creator is worse than the deal between YouTube, Google, and the creator. Like they take the 30% from us. At Rumble, I was talking to somebody who makes their money on there, and they said it was like closer to 50.
It is 50. Unless you have a deal with them, maybe, I don't know, but for every single one of my donations is exactly 50%, which is worse than YouTube.
Right.
At least two.
Yeah, that's
at least
pretty
two,
shit.
If I get memberships, at least memberships, 70% of the memberships, pretty fucking good.
Yeah, they do now have a creator program, which Mersh was saying is pretty sweet. But
Rumble or
Rumble.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Aaron
it's
said it was
there's
pretty
probably
sweet too, but didn't do anything with it.
Well, this is
Yeah.
that's our boy Aaron.
Aaron, Jailhouse Blues. He needed the money.
The thing with Aaron though is like it's hard to know whether he's actually in like a creator program or something, right? Because they're looking at the real numbers, not what we're looking at. Like we're looking at what he says and who believes.
And we know Aaron tells the truth, so I mean, there's nothing to worry about there.
There's never been a guy. Yeah, there's never been a guy who's been more truthful and honest than he is. And did you go to bingo when you were at Hackamania?
I did. I was sitting over with Dr. Steve, Carl, his wife, and a handful of other people. I did not play, however, because by then at Hackamania, I had pretty much spent all of my spending money. This year, I guess in 2026, I'm going to have a bigger wallet, so I'm going to be able to do a little bit more. So if we decide to do something like that, then I can actually participate. So short answer is yes, but no, I didn't play.
The what do you call it though? I will say that I made a joke on it's on X today, Twitter, whatever the hell you want to call it, that the rules in Aaron's jail were easier than the rules in that bingo room, and nobody wants to go back and play bingo.
No, that was an awful bingo hall. Okay, so for anyone that wasn't there, we heard about this bingo thing because it's advertised all over near the area, being like, not your grandma's bingo, like bingo with an edge, bingo, but cool. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. So we're going to go up there. We're going to be able to, sit there, play bingo, drink, talk, and have a good time. And then we go up there and it's like, it's a library. It's a bunch of old ladies, literally your grandma's bingo. And Tukey was there, and anytime he did his whoa or yay, everybody looked at him like, can somebody kill this guy?
Well, he said that they actually came over to him and told him he had to stop. And they were you weren't allowed to like yell out bingo even, or it was insane. And it was everybody was so excited to go. And that's why it was supposed to be a big part. And they really all thought it was going to be fun. And I didn't go because I was stuck at a craps machine. And very quickly people came back. and were like, "Oh man, I can't believe it! I can't believe it!" And
The worst part of it was really expensive, and it was the standard entry was like video bingo, and to play like paper bingo with like a stamper and paper, it was even more money than to sit there with a machine. And if you played the machine, play is a severe overstatement. You'd sit there and you'd look at the screen, and every time a thing would call, the screen would update automatically and shift all the cards automatic, literally do all the work for you. It was even more boring than pulling a slot machine, because at least at a slot machine, you decide when you put in your coins and when you pull the lever and like your bet amount and stuff. With bingo, it was literally just sitting there watching the screen and being like, did I win? Nope. Did I win? Nope.
Tukey paid extra for the cards and the stamper, but it was just very funny because it was like he wasn't allowed to do anything. And but the other part is like you guys were the majority of that room. So, and it's Vegas. You'd think they would loosen up a little bit, right?
I
But
would
they
think that.
but they didn't. It was I was quite amazed. I'm
And
going
then the thing that blew my mind out of all of that is there was a little bar in there, and you got like 2 drinks with it, and they closed the bar at 5 p.m. That is the only time I've ever seen a bar close at 5 and not like open at 5. It was nuts.
Yeah, it was just the whole thing was just like insane. And luckily, like I said, I didn't go, but I did feel bad for everyone because people were really looking forward to it, and nobody got to go. Yeah, so I have trying to put this up without doxing myself, um, which would be I sent myself the picture. Oh, I know what I did wrong. I'm an idiot, but we all know that already, right? Um, let's just do this way, open, and see if that works. I wound up opening it in like Microsoft Paint or something, but I'm sure Patrick will be happy that we're doing this. Um, I don't know that I want
Michael or
that.
Melton?
Melton, and hopefully my personal information is not in that one. And let's just make sure and to scene. And there we go. It's back.
Ooh.
Hack to the Future is officially back. It'll be back. I'm going to make it full screen for a sec. And it is.
Wow, Patrick Michael, huh?
Patrick Melton, DDS. Hackamania 3 is April 10th to the 12th in Las Vegas. Save the date, hotel details, and tickets coming soon.
I checked the website. It has not been updated as of right this second, so keep your eyes open. I'm sure he'll announce it on his show, but
Yeah, no, yeah, but it's great. It's good to have dates. It's good it's not on Mother's Day weekend.
It's on my birthday.
And it's on Annie's birthday. But I think that was scheduled in, right? Wasn't that built in? Didn't he check with you first and say Annie?
Yeah,
when's your birthday?
he made sure. He didn't. He thought about doing it on April 20th, but then he was like, "Yeah, Hitler's birthday is not as cool as Annie's."
And yeah, I'm such an idiot. I didn't. I always think of like Hitler's birthday around Tim McVeigh blowing up the government in Oklahoma, because I think that's when he was supposed to do it that day, or he did do it that day, and that's what I associated with. But I never understood 420. So the weed thing, like I don't know where 420 comes from, and I've never gotten around to looking it up.
I haven't either, and anyone that I have asked, I said, I don't know.
Yeah, and but now 420 is, in our age, it's like 420 is like the Hitler thing, and these people have come. It's just so weird because what happened was everybody got called Hitler, so then guys that actually wanted to be called Hitler, or supported the Hitler thing are back, and boy, are they in full force. There you go. Columbine was on that day too. Amazing. We'll have to get an astrologer on one day and figure out if there's something to 420, and
Not an astrologer. You need a numerologist.
or a numerologist, and there is one that. Do you want to tell us about it?
No, sorry, I was laughing at Big W. 420 was when 9/11 happened.
Yes. Oh,
Sorry, normally I'm good at reading chat and not responding, but that one was funny.
That is, yeah. Big W is a funny guy, and he's been on here. Yeah. Chris Mack, April 10th. You say, shucks, I have an engagement that weekend, can't make it. That is my general answer to my wife whenever she says we have to go to a wedding or a christening. And I don't have a green screen behind me, but I went to a Greek christening on Sunday, and I guess I should pull the kid's name off here. And the Greeks at weddings and just about any event except a funeral, they have favors that they give out. And I don't know if you can see them. These are the favors. Okay, so let's see what I understand they are. I have not opened the box yet. They are coasters of a saint.
Cool.
How weird is that? Like, I don't
What's the
know.
nostrum?
It seems like sacrilegious to be like putting your
Putting
hot
your
coffee
drink
cup
on-
on
yeah.
a drink on a saint. And I don't know who it is because I don't read
No, you're
Greek.
protecting the wood. Jesus respected wood.
Yes. And he was a big, they work with acai. I think it's ACAI. If I would have known there was only one coaster in there, I would have had to grab more. But they're actually quite nice. But sometimes you get stuff, it's really funny because it's like, you can see that they put a lot of thought into it. But you get it home and you're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? You know, like a statue or something. Like, and
Typically, it's just junk that you're supposed to throw away in a couple of years.
yeah, you have not been married to Mrs. Buckman. Mrs. Buckman, probably still has her, the dollar bills from her first communion. Serial
I keep a
numbers
lot
come-
of weird shit too.
when we got married 13 years ago. When we got married, we were combining places, and she had like tax returns from when she was like 14 years old, or like her first job was at McDonald's, and she had the tax return from the job at McDonald's. And I was like, you worked at McDonald's for 4 days. How did you manage to have a tax return? And she wanted all the money they took back. Do either of you guys know Eastside Dave from Ron
By
and
name.
Fez? Yeah. So Big W. Jesus invented the chair. Probably the greatest, one of the greatest Eastside Dave lines was, he used to believe that, and he told Ron that Jesus invented the chair. And Ron's like, you're an idiot. And he's like, there were obviously chairs before. And Dave, without skipping a beat, goes, yeah, but Jesus was the first one to figure out you put a back on it and they're much easier to sit in, which I just thought was he's a funny guy. It's too bad he's not in the Dabbleverse with us.
Ain't no fact checking.
Yeah. So, but that was a deal. So, what you spend most of your time, you game? Is there professional gaming, or is this enjoyment, or what's the story? How does that work?
Well, I mean, it would be nice to make any sort of money on it. I've gotten a little donation here and there, which I'm super thankful of and appreciative of, and they've come in handy more than once. But for the most part, I'm not monetized and anything like that. The main reason I stream while I'm gaming is I'm going to do it anyway, and streaming it helps me not like stop the game as much and then go like on the internet and like scroll on Twitter for 25 minutes. Helps me more focus on the game because I'm like broadcasting. And if somebody decides to hop in and talk and chat and stuff like that, it's really engaging for me because, especially if they want to know about what's going on in the game, it gives me a mini outlet to talk about what I'm enjoying so much or what I'm hating about the game. So, like I said, I'm going to be doing it anyway, so might as well stream it.
Yeah, I've been shitting on the final boss for never going outside, and so he's got up here. Believe it or not, people do it for fun. He was supposed to be our guest last Thursday, and apparently was in a 36-hour marathon of games and fell asleep.
Yeah, he texted me. He said to apologize to you.
I know, but I'm not going to stop breaking his balls. So,
Right.
you know, there we go. And well, because he doubles down on it instead of just saying, "Oh man, I fell asleep. I'm sorry." I get like, "Oh man, I fell asleep, but I was in this 36-hour stream, and I know you wouldn't want to deny me because it was an awesome stream and everything else." And then I found out, like, I thought it was something important, and then I found out it was like Sonic the Hedgehog game, and so I've been giving him a hard time about that and telling him to, like, you got to grow up, boss. You got to grow up.
What? Oh, okay. Aside from all of the obvious, what's wrong with Sonic?
I'm kidding. I'm old. That's what. There's nothing wrong with Sonic. It's just me being old and him being a young guy. And it's like, wait, you should be out there. Get out, get yourself out on the street. And one of the things that I seem to have noticed with some of these guys is that they sit like their world is so like internet based that they think that that's the way the rest of the world operates. And when we go to like Hackamania, right? I mean, there are guys there that like online, you can't shut them up. They talk to you. They're like all about everything, DMs, the whole bit. And you meet them in person and they're just like cowering and
Okay,
I don't do
that
well
is
in
fair.
I don't do well.
I've
in
met a few
public.
people like that who I have talked to in DMs, and then I meet them in person, and we don't say anything, and it's like, huh? Okay, well, it was nice to meet you, I guess.
To me, I'm just picking on the young guys because the deal is they tend to go off their view of women. I don't think is terribly realistic, and they don't go off on them. I mean, they don't go out with them, I should say, and they go off on them. And so I'm like, yeah, well, you're not going to meet anybody, sitting in your bedroom with the lights off playing Sonic for 36 hours. But they will sure tell other people
Probably not
how to do things, excuse me. So I don't know if you remember the first time we met, but it was at DabbleCon 2. And I had talked to you a few times back and forth, nothing big. And then I saw you at DabbleCon 2, and I was like, Annie, and I give you a big hug, and you would just look on your face like, oh my God, who is this creepy guy? And why is he hugging me? You're like, okay. It was so funny.
Now, at that time you hugged me, I may have been on a various different amount of drugs, so it may have been the drugs making me react that way. It also may have been the fact that I didn't recognize your face, so I didn't know who you were. And it's that moment of me being like, okay, do I know you? Have I met you before? Should I know you already? And those are the kind of things running through my face instead of being like, oh yeah, great to meet you. So it's that moment of being like, crap.
And I'm the other way because like I forget that I haven't met you in person. Like I will have talked to people on Twitter, and then like I'll see them and I'll feel like, oh, we know each other. Like everything is, we've gone through all this stuff already, and they're like, no, pal.
Well, some people are like that, and then some people are exactly how you meet them in person, online. Like in the chat there, Spurgsnake, I talk to him pretty often on and off streams, and I'm trying to get him out to Hackamania, and I'm pretty confident that he's going to be the same guy in real life as he is talking online and stuff like that. Now, everybody is not necessarily that same way. Like you said, they aren't confident and they get nervous a little bit, and they're like, yeah, I'm just here to watch the one show, and then I'm gonna go sit in my room for the rest of the weekend.
NJ Ranger for $1.99. Hi, Annie. Big fan of your work for the Eckel pineapple concern. Yeah, I think are you considered the person responsible for helping bring Eckel to life?
I don't want any credit for Eckel Pineapple, but maybe some of his tech solutions and problems. I do help him with that stuff.
Okay. We're always looking for somebody to blame. So
no, I have no idea where Eckel came from or who he really is, and that's for good reason.
Yes. Well, one, he lives in England, but I do have
might as well be a different planet.
I do have some good news, which is that Husey is planning on coming to Hackamania, and Eckel is trying to come as well. So we might actually get to meet these guys. This should be a big year.
How much do we need to raise to get Rochi here? Hold on, let me rephrase the question. Sorry. How big of a plane do we need to charter to get Rochi here?
So yeah, well, I think the first step would be I think Rochi has to get a passport. So that's probably step number one. And then, step number two is this is what an airplane looks like. This is what it is on the inside, But I would kill to meet Rochi. He's so good at doing this and so comfortable.
He's such a genuine guy. I love Rochi. He's a great dude.
Yeah, and that's I've had we recently had kind of an argument, a tiff, as it were, and
2 or 3 Fs.
We met probably two Fs, maybe an exclamation point, but we talked and we worked it out. It was simple, but then again, I knew what he was doing, and he suckered me in. And there's a reason why they call it trolling. Because you're trying to find something to catch with the hook, and he managed to catch me. So it was wild, but we talked about it, so it was cool. And but I think he's honest, and or as honest as what he's honest. He does tell it like it is. I will say that. And so, all right. So
he was one of my earlier friends in the Dabbleverse, and it's just interesting how Rochi gets around and he's in everybody's chats. And if you reach out to Rochi, it's pretty easy to get along with him, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. The first time I got to stream with him, I was like, wow, he was great. I mean, he was really fun to stream with, and he is a funny guy, and he doesn't say. Oh, I'm not, I'm not funny. I'm not this. It's that self-deprecating.
It's that British attitude.
Yeah. I would kill to meet Rochi. This is the real Stevie Lou. And then Stevie Lou said, did he just really say that? So this either means they're taking my words literally, and if someone gets found somewhere in a dumpster, they're going to blame me, or I'm a ball washer. And so there you go. But either way, I like Rochi. Panhandler. Rochi is honest. Jesus, old man. When Rochi's got a problem with you, he'll let you know he's got a problem with you. Some people I can't say that about, Mr. Panhandler. I just can't. So how did you get involved in all of this? Because you're not from Rochester, right?
No, I live over in the St. Louis area. I have for the last 20 years now. So most of my life, people ask where I'm from, and I used to not know where to say. Now I just say, St. Louis, because I've been here so long. So fuck it. I'm not really going anywhere.
But how did you find this? Because you're you're very popular. But you're also very well known. Uh, and it's like, and you've been around a long time. But it just seems like, for a girl from St. Louis kind of thing. How do you wind up in the Dabbleverse of all places?
Do you want the long story or the shorter version of it?
You can give us the long
whatever.
one.
All right,
Give us the one you want to give us.
I like telling the long version. I like my story, so whatever. I'm full of myself a little bit. I try to tone it down, but whatever. I did just cover this story on the last episode of my weekly wrap-up, The Warp Zone, which you can find on my YouTube channel if you want to. Going to be doing one in the morning around 1 Eastern or something around that. Just kind of laid back. I just chat, tell people what I've been up to and what I'm going into. And Spurg Snake is my sort of producer for that. And he had asked before I wrapped up that same question. So, if anyone has ever heard of Moist Critical, Penguin Z0, or Charles White, Charlie, he's a big YouTuber, Twitch streamer. He does a bunch of variety, different stuff. I've been following him since he had 5 or 6 million subscribers. So I'm not an OG fan of him or anything like that, but I have been following him before COVID, long time. He does all sorts of different streams. He does game commentary. He does tier lists and all sorts of different things. And he is, just because of how much I watch his stuff, he does 2 uploads a day, sometimes more. He just kind of became my favorite YouTuber. And after catching up on most of his backlog and watching all of his videos every day, I was like, I still want to watch more of this guy. And he mentioned he had a podcast, so I started listening to his podcast because at the time I was working in fast food, and I don't really like listening to music while working because it's like a background noise. I can't really focus on music and it be entertaining. It's just music, So I needed something more entertaining, and I didn't like any of the radio stations over here in St. Louis. The best one, I think, was probably the Rizzuto Show, and even then, I didn't really like that one ever since his co-host, Woody, left. That's the only real radio station I listened to around here was the Woody and Riz Show, and early in the morning, Bob and Tom, but they were syndicated. They're not from this area, so that was the over-the-air thing. That's the only really radio experience I got. So I kind of heard about podcasting, and I never really knew how to get into it because I didn't want to just download a podcast player and start typing in podcast about. I'm I don't know. I don't want to listen to a bunch of people talk about video games. I like talking about video games, and if somebody wants to talk about it with me, that's great. But I don't care about other people's opinions about it, really, unless they're my friend and whatever. I don't want to hear random people talk about it. So I ended up listening to this guy's podcast because I like the host. And he is co-hosted with a couple of his friends, Kaya, who has been on Who Are These Podcasts, and is sort of involved in the Dabbleverse. And he has 2 other co-hosts, and I caught up on that whole podcast, and same thing as with his main YouTube channel. It's I want some more of this. So I started listening to all the bonus episodes in order. And it got to a bonus episode where Carl was on it because Kaya was a fan of Who Are These Podcasts and kind of what Carl was doing, making fun of the Opie and Anthony stuff and around that area. So Carl came on the show and he talked about how he does a podcast about podcasts, making fun of them and telling you which ones are bad and whatever. And a couple episodes later, the podcast also had on Dick Masterson, and he talked about the lull suit. So I got introduced to Carl and Dick right around the same time, and after listening to the rest of the bonus episodes, I again ran out of things to listen to. So I was racking my brain, and I remembered, hey, they had that guy who does podcast about podcasts, so maybe I can find a podcast to listen to in this, because like I said, I don't want to just go through and look at recommended podcasts or what's popular or famous comedians doing podcasts, because objectively they all kind of suck. And I started listening to Who Are These Podcast at episode 100 because it's a nice round number. It's a big milestone episode. Sometimes people do like gimmicks for it, or they do like best ofs or whatever. But either way, that's what I went into it. And then I just went up and down the list of what podcasts were currently available and listened to anyone I'd ever heard of. So I had heard of Opie and Anthony, so it said Opie Radio, and I was like, okay, cool. And I'd listened to some other ones in the list, like Adam Carolla, and like there was a Morning Zoo show I had heard of, a couple of different ones, like the Rizzuto show they covered. And after I had exhausted the ones I'd ever heard of, I just started from episode 1 and just went up the whole list. And as I just kind of depleted the entire run of Who Are These Podcasts and their bonus episodes. And I was current in the community, sort of, because I was a massive fan of Patrick Michael. And still am, but I'm not really active in his sphere as much as I used to be. I was working my way to try to get close to him because I wanted to be on his show or do a show with him or a podcast or even interview anything. I just wanted a chance to talk to Patrick Michael because I'm fascinated with him. And it's genuine. It's not just because I like to troll him. I do, but I'm also very fascinated with him. And I do genuinely like what he puts out, even if some of the stuff he says makes no sense.
We can agree there.
After that, I just was kind of posting about him and in other channels on the Who Are These Podcast Discord. And this is around the end of when Hannah, the review girl, was on the show. And she was becoming on less and less, and she was missing episodes and then doing Wednesday instead of Saturday and stuff like that. And I was like jabbing fun at her in the Discord and being like, "Ooh, are you just gonna like leave like Casey did?" and talk like lightly talking shit, you know, whatever. Japanese Fart Enthusiast, who I'm sure we've all heard that name of if we're in this area, and a different Discord user were both like, well, why don't you fucking do it? You know, stop talking shit, put your money where your mouth is. And the other guy was like, yeah, and it'd be funny to watch the fans seethe over having a trans review girl. And I was like, yeah, both of those are good points. I'm talking shit, and if I'm not willing to put myself in the line, then I can't really say anything. Because Casey left because she didn't like the negative attention and stuff she was getting. And I was like, okay, well, you know, if I'm making fun of her for that, then I have to at least try. So
did you disclose the trans thing right away? Because I thought you did. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So I sent Carl a long email. I started out with the classic, like, first time, long time. You know, I said, hey, I've listened to like every episode. I'm a big fan of the Dick Show and everything you do. I'm caught up in the Dabbleverse. I listened to this, that, and the other thing. And I am a trans woman. And yes, that does mean I was born a dude. LOL. Like in plain text, you know, so it's, you know, he's not confused about which way it is, which it's not like it's confusing. But anyway, I sent that whole thing. And then after like typing it out, I set up my camera and everything like that, and I recorded it like I was just speaking it, not like reading a script. I kind of like paraphrased it and did it, whatever. But so he could see what I look like, what I sound like, what equipment I was dealing with, or what he was dealing with, and I was let him know, like, hey, you know, whatever. I don't know how you do your show. Let me know. I can record locally. I know how StreamYard works. All this. I said, so it won't be you're not teaching me anything. And Carl sent me a message back being like, great, let's do it. I assume you have thick skin, right? And I said, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Otherwise, I'll take a permanent dirt nap like Casey. Because she was into dirt and, you know, dirt nap being dead because she's not in the show. So it was again, a poor joke jabbing fun at the other review girls.
So, all right. But when I asked about the disclosing it, right? Did you tell did the audience know right away? Because I swear I saw you on a show where I had no idea, and then it was like it was either revealed or somebody was surprised when they saw you, or something. So did the audience?
I didn't mention it. I didn't mention it coming on, and neither did Carl. It was one of those things that like if you see and hear me at the same time, it's kind of obvious, you know? I'm passable, but I'm not like one of those other trans girls that are like models or in porn or whatever, you know, that like pass or anything like that. And even then, you can always tell a little bit. So, you know, it doesn't matter. So if people were going to say something about it and figure it out, good on them. If they had something to say about it, good on them. But it wasn't a point of me as a character or a person. It's not, I don't really make it part of my personality. It's not something I talk about, or I'm not an ally. I'm just me. So that's not, being trans isn't like my identity. It just happens to be part of my identity. So no, I didn't come out and just be like, hey everyone, I'm trans, blah, blah, blah. And Carl didn't be like, hey, we have this trans review girl. No, it just, people kind of put it together. And some people, as you mentioned, because they're only audio only, will be like, wait, Annie was trans. I remember like Boner Guy making a joke about Annie's feet pics and then being like, oh wait, never mind.
Because you know what? Now that I think about it, I was listening. Most of the stuff I don't watch, I listen to, and I was listening to it, and then maybe I saw it, or I don't know. It was like maybe it was like a bunch of us saw it for the first time at the same time, but or it might have been one of the co-hosts who hadn't noticed before. It was very funny. I thought it was well done.
One that I specifically remember and has stuck with me is Monday's Weekly called into the voicemail segment, and he asked like a personal question, being like, what is like my real name, Andy, or something like that, or I don't exactly remember his question was, but I was like, hey, look, I don't talk about that shit like really publicly because it doesn't really matter. So if you want to know, and actually message me on Discord. And then he did message me on Discord, and fast forward till today, and him and I are doing a podcast review tomorrow. So, you know,
Cool.
it's funny how you can become friends with people in this universe if they are, you know, genuine, if they extend it. You know, it's amazing how we all have something in common, even if we're completely different. Like I said, I'm friends with Rochi, and Rochi does not like gay people, does not like trans people, does not, etc. And somehow him and I are still friends. So.
Yeah, we have a regular trans guest, and he torments them when they're on. But it's very funny because it's what I was saying earlier about the not going outside kind of thing and always being inside. That is probably for me the best part of the Dabbleverse, was getting to meet the people that I had been talking to, and getting to know online, and then like hanging out with them, and then you actually become friends with people. Like they were like real friends. And you know, you got to remember, I started, you know, when it was DARPANET. And so my original internet connection of any type was an Autobahn line that we used to use. And so it was just like, there was so much.
What was that, 900 years ago?
900, probably like 35 years ago. But it was just, it was crazy. Like, and I had a computer. I mean, I remember like AOL and that stuff. Like, I remember thinking, oh yeah, I won't spend more than 20 minutes a month on this thing, and then getting a $300 bill for being in the chat rooms. And I remember my first real awakening, talking about being naive. I wanted to get a dog, and I was thinking, oh, I'll, you know, look on here like for recommendations. And there was a chat room called I Love My Big Black Lab. And little did I understand that what they meant and what I meant were two completely different things. So that, man. So, and then that's how you entered. And now, but you go to almost all the events. Like, you were in Boston. And you also said you're a fan of Dick's. Is that the
Dick Masterson, the Dick Show?
Right.
And to answer the first part of that, yes. Since the Largo show, I've tried to go to every show. I missed Hackmania 1 because it was right after Largo. and I didn't have time or funds because I was already saving up for DabbleCon 2. I went to Detroit 3. I went to Hackmania 2. I've been to Boston. This community is really great because I found out I like traveling and I'm a lot more comfortable and excited to do it than I ever thought I would because, like I said, I live most of my life right here in this room and I'm happy to do that. However, this community and people like you and the events that our podcast people put on have dragged me to all ends of the country except for like the West Coast now. And, it's really exciting that I get to, like you said, meet these people that I talk to all the time and see in the chat. And like meeting KB was really cool. It's really cool to see these people and put that like person to the name and be able to, stop it from being that parasocial connection and make it an actual social connection so that when you go back home and you talk over the internet, it's like less fake.
Right. Well, yeah, and you also like I did online dating through Match and stuff like that, and the pictures that there was no live chatting, and the pictures that people put up would be very different than the pictures of people that you met many times, and so you start to get like, I don't really, I'm not going to really trust this. And, I don't know. But then when you meet them, you're like, oh, and most people are in my experience, most people are like they are on these streams and chat groups and stuff like that. So, and we lost Annie. So, or she bailed on me, and this was all a giant troll. Let me take Annie out. So, oh boy. Final boss. I think actually if you hit that link and take out the space from the super and tips, you will be surprised that there is something. Annie came back and then Annie left. And let's thank you for that $2. Nice podcast, stupid. We will get to your question as soon as Annie gets back here, and Annie is back.
For now, if I leave suddenly, it's because Spectrum is fucking terrible and they constantly drop my service, even if there is no weather, no rain, nothing like that. Now, tonight is a little bit different. There is that sort of stuff, so whatever. But the other night, it was straight up perfect and canceled my stream because literally I went live and I was like listening to my music, doing my little intro, and then just lose all connection. So fuck you, Spectrum. Today, I was out buying computer parts. As I mentioned, I'm working on a computer and putting together a second one. So I was out at the computer store, and they didn't have the part I needed. So I knew they weren't going to have it, but despite, whatever, I walked into Target because I said, maybe they'll have it. And the lady was very nice, pointed me the right direction, and tried to sell me an internet package. And if I wasn't actually in a hurry to get home and do other stuff besides be out at stores looking for a part that I know I can just buy from Amazon, I would have actually listened to her because she's like, how much do you pay? I'm like, 100. And she's like, I can beat that. And I'm like, I'm not going to get into what my internet package is, and I doubt you can beat it, but whatever. Okay, it's fine. And I have to leave.
I am chagrined to admit that I am using T-Mobile 5G here. And I have another place that I stream from, and I'm actually using it there now too because Verizon, I used Fios for years, never had a problem, and had like 100, and then Fios was like, hey, look, we'll give you 300 for $10 less a month. And I'm like, okay, cool. They changed the router and the thing never worked. And every time you would call, you would just get like, go through the same thing over, like I don't take any notes or whatever. And I was so pissed off. I got the T-Mobile because I was like, I need something because I can't even work here. And they had like a 30-day return thing. And I just wound up with it. So every blue moon it'll go out. And people will say you need a wired connection on it, but I don't stream enough that's going to make that difference. This is $2 from $2 Dan of Nice Podcast Stupid. Hi, Annie. Are you cool with Ava and MGD, or is there a rivalry?
Who is MGD?
MGD is lives in Scotland. I think. Now, I don't know if MGD. They say that MGD is trans. I don't know that. But and somebody could verify it in the chat. But yeah. But
I'm not sure. I don't think I have ever personally had an interaction with MGD. Maybe like a tiny bit of cross chat and a talk, but I've never talked to MGD. So no. And as far as Abba, no, I think Abba's pretty interesting and cool as a person. I don't necessarily like her allegiance with Stuttering John, but people can do whatever the fuck they want, so I'm not going to police her and her decisions. I tried to reach out to her to do a show, like an Annie and Ava show, like a sort of like PDP, like where we talk about Dabbleverse shit, because she seems to like Dabbleverse stuff anyway, and she doesn't seem to know everything, so I could be like the more of an expert, and she'd be like more outside opinion. But that never worked out. So, again, just no grudge against her or the MGD. So, no.
Yeah, she, what do you call it? She's a regular on here. But I was joking around. I sent her a DM today and I said, I can't turn on YouTube without seeing your face. So don't forget about me now that you're a big star. And, but yeah, she's on here, and much like you, she is trans, but that's not really what we don't ever really talk about that. And it's just like it's part of the identity, but it's not the identity or whatever. I have no idea what she's doing with John. Like, I'm going to say, I think she's a true believer, right? Like, I really think that she, I don't want to say cares for the guy, but cares for him as much as somebody would who's doing, co-hosting a show with him and stuff. But I don't know. Have you? But and my other feeling too is that, when I first fell into this universe, and I saw the way SJ was treated, I felt bad for him. And
yeah,
I was
fair
like,
enough.
oh, people are really they're really treating him badly. And then eventually, well, very quickly, actually, you learn this is all stuff he's done to himself, and you can't help him. And so we're there with that. But we want to move away. What, Dabbleverse wise, who is like your current interest? Like, do you check out the new shows, or do you kind of stay with the same group all the time of shows? Like, have you seen Karmic? Let's put it that way.
I don't typically watch like the content of the Dabbleverse directly. I usually watch the content creators that are like talking about them. Like, I watch Pint Dabble Pint because I want to know about Joey. I have no interest in ever being in Joey's chat or talking to him or his chatters or watching his stream or anything like that. Meeting Joey was nice in person both times I met him, but that doesn't mean I want to have any interaction with the guy. I'm very curious about him, so I watch people who talk about him. Same as Karmic. I don't think I could sit in Karmic's chat because it's like it's a hang stream with himself where he occasionally responds and yells at the chat, and it's not really my type of vibe. So I typically watch shows and things that have something to say, even if it's about somebody else saying something. So the shorter answer is no, I don't really watch a lot of the dabblers. I more watch like WATP, Rico, Melton. I don't really watch clip shows because I watch so much of the like longer form content, like Tukey and Cardiff and OJ. Like, OJ will snipe Stuttering John, and if I ever want to watch any form of Stuttering John long form, I could just watch OJ stuff, because why would I torture myself actually watching his show?
I I agree with you. I do watch the Clippers because that's where I get most. Because I can't see myself sitting watching Karmic for however many hours. Plus, I'm banned, and he block. It's so funny to me because it's like he goes after me, and then he blocks me, so I can't respond. And then I'm like, oh, I'm just not going to give the guy the satisfaction of my attention. But it is kind of a it's kind of it's an interesting story. So to watch other people cover it and then to watch, a Doom clip of it, that is a lot of where I get my information about things. Like I could not sit and watch a Steel Toe episode.
I think Melton is a big part of my coverage exposure because he watches the clips and then he has his own commentary and breakdown and information on top of the clips, and his shows are very long. So it helps to really digest some of these things. Like, I wouldn't have any knowledge of Steel Toe if it wasn't for Melton's fascination with it. Because if I wasn't watching Melton's show, which I do often, my only coverage of it would be This Little Piggy, because that's a Carl production, and I'm a Carl cuck. Surprise.
Yeah, I swear I'm trying to remember the chronology of it, but I think I found Melton after Steel Toe, and I think I found Steel Toe through Carl somehow. And how I found what do you call it? How I found Carl was through Anthony. I was watching something that Anthony did, or actually saw a tweet. Well, look at this. $10 from Ava Reiser. Love and respect, Annie. Thank you, Ava. And by the way, I've been trying to get Annie to do that point dabble point thing forever, as well. So,
What thing?
you were saying that you wanted Annie to do, I'm sorry, Ava to do like a point dabble
Oh,
point.
okay.
Right. I mess up names all the time. And the realist Stevie Lou. Schmuel, F, marry, kill, Ava, Annie, or MGD. You're putting me in a position here, Stevie, and this is how you and I got into our first beef. Was I did F, marry, kill, and you were one of the people, and I had to choose, and you got mad at me. But I don't really know. I think you'd probably
I'll take
marry.
one for the team. You can kill me.
I think you'd probably I think marrying Annie would be cool because I think you'd have a lot to talk about and it would be interesting. And I marry, right? MGD, I guess we'll do the F part with, and Ava and I living
Damn.
together would just wind up killing each other anyway. So, why not? It's just the easier way to do it.
Them's the breaks, I guess.
Yeah, I don't. The whole F marry kill thing is like it's ridiculous to me, but I don't know. Anyway,
You have to answer it. That's the game.
yeah, you do. It's like remember with John where they had him convinced that he had to read super chats.
Yeah, it was a contract, and YouTube would take the money back.
YouTube's terms of service. You have to read
Terms and service.
Yeah, if you don't read it, does he say terms and service?
Terms and service.
Oh man, that's so funny. But he, because I was laughing because he's like, he really thought that he had to do that. Like he really thought he had to read them all, and it was hilarious. I'm sure Vince was involved in getting him to do that. But what if it's just he's such a mess. That's what's so interesting is like to me, I like to look at the economics of stuff and how people make money and things like that. And my thing with John is from day one, Carl, if he had worked with Carl, he would have been making a lot more money and done really well. But he chose to go another route, and now he's engaged in a lawsuit, But I do love how firmly believe that the shit that he makes up, he believes it. I don't think he believes it at the time that he said it, but within an hour, he's convinced that any lie he tells is the absolute truth.
Well, as with everything in his brain, his memory is liquid, so shifts.
Yeah, it is. Now, so you're a Carl cuck. Do you ever give Carl a hard time, or do you ever like? I saw the Ava PDP the other day, and I was disappointed in Carl, and only because it was like I really feel like they need a counterpoint, but it's really hard to find one who's going to support John. I mean, but it was almost like they knew they were going to fight Ava. Like they both came in just nasty and mean, and it was like, and Ava was also nervous in the beginning, and I really wish that Carl would have mediated more, so we would have gotten more stuff out of it. Do you think there's always the thing about Carl's like little chuckle and stuff? And I said to Vinny Paulino was hosting the show one day, and he said, I'm hosting. You got any ideas? And I said it would be fun to watch Carl's nervous chuckle that he does, because sometimes what happens is you'll see things are either going wrong or it'll get uncomfortable a little bit for Carl, and he doesn't. He kind of. Vinny was like, "No, I'm good. No, I'm good." And I thought it was funny. People tell me that it's you can't go after Carl, but I don't really think that that's true.
I mean, do I go after Carl for anything? I mean, like, if I see a jab at Carl, sure, I will. But the things to goof on Carl for aren't, in my opinion, very original or a new take or anything. Because in my honest opinion, outside of being a fan of the guy himself, I think he does a good show. He has a good format. He keeps things moving. He does good on both the screen or in audio format, so you can listen either way. I think it's honestly hard to critique his content other than I don't like it. That's a valid critique. Sure, well, that's not a critique. That's an opinion. That's that's a valid opinion, but there isn't at least unless if somebody provides an argument, I'm easily swayed on if there's evidence and things like that. I can change my opinion. I just don't think there's a lot to make fun of Carl for. Like, cool, he has messed up legs, he has fucked up teeth, what he has a house in a shitty neighborhood. Like, I mean, other than like things that are on a week-to-week basis. Yeah, maybe he could have went after Ava a little bit harder. Maybe he could have asked more poignant questions or mediated better or whatever. But that's woulda, coulda, shoulda stuff. And I think as far as the show went, I think it went great. So, but that's, again, I know I'm biased on my opinion in that aspect because I'm a really big fan of him. I just don't see a lot of personal things to make fun of Carl for.
So Panhandler says Carl is incredibly rigid, and I think that's probably one of his best qualities, his major quality, at least in running a show. It's very hard to put a show together as well as he does and keep it running for as long as he has, and keep it interesting and maintain the audience, right? And basically run a business. Like, this is your full-time job. That's a very difficult thing to do, and that takes a lot of discipline. So I would never fault him for that. I would like to. I've never done it. I would like to go back and see if I could listen to like his early WATP episodes that were like just audio only, and see how much he's changed since then.
I made a joke like defending but also making fun of the show on WATP, being like, hey, the show is self-referential and like ironic, get over it. but the show it literally is. It's become like a bit of a parody of itself. WATP used to make fun of a lot of things, and now it's become like a core aspect of the show because it's ironic. It's a joke on the thing, while actually incorporating it. You know, you can only be ironic so long before it becomes like genuine. You know, but those parts of the show are things that I liked from the beginning, even as a joke, and I like now, like the tease. That is so obnoxious, but that's the point of it.
Yeah, and I'd listen to WATS, and they start off every week with the banter, and they talk about the banter, and I'm like, all right, guys, we get past the banter. Like, we don't have to talk about, but they do it every week. But every week I listen, and every week I enjoy the show. And I actually do listen to that one on audio, because I can download it into my podcast player, and I get to hear it on the subway. So instead of it's almost impossible to download a YouTube video for me if I'm not sitting in a Wi-Fi connection. It'll say it's going to download, but it would take an hour to download a 45-minute show over 5G. What do you think of like the addition of Adam Bush? Are you positive with that? Negative? Neutral? How do you feel about that?
I like
And I'm
Adam
not
Bush.
looking for you to shit on anybody. That's not the
yeah.
intention of these questions. I'm just
Of course, yeah.
general question.
I like Adam Bush. I don't know Adam Bush at all outside of him as him. Like, I've never seen any of his work as far as I can recall. Maybe I've seen him in one or two things, but like, I'm not like a fan of Adam Bush the actor. I'm a fan of Adam Bush the dabbler. I like how interested in he is in all of this stuff. I like that he is able to put himself out there and go on other people's shows, and able to call people for what he sees, and I like his opinions. I think he's well spoken, and he's really cool to meet in person and hang out with. He seems to be the same guy, and he's real. I've used the word before, but he seems genuine, and that's all I can ask for out of a person is just be you.
I described him to him as intense. Like that was
that's also a good adjective.
Yeah,
in person, and if you're like under his microscope or his gaze, it can be very intense because you don't necessarily want to hear the truth. So if he's telling you the truth, you're like, ah, crap.
But it's I watched the Joey thing. But first, I'm gonna answer the final boss here. Final boss, Schmuel on the subway would make a great IRL stream. So, final boss, I have a little DJI pocket cam that was something I was going to do. And then I realized that I am going to get my ass kicked from one end of the subway car to the other. Why are you taking pictures of me? Why, who is, and it's not worth, it's not worth doing. So unless I had like some sort of secret camera where nobody knew, it's not going to work. So, I see it. There's like pretty young girls that do it, and everybody smiles and looks at them. But every now and then, thank you, Keena K, for becoming a member. Every now and then, I will see somebody who's taking a picture of somebody else, and it's starting a fight. And the problem with New York is you're in a subway car and it's closed. And if the person is crazy, you've got no place to go. And I can still run pretty fast, but it doesn't do me any good to be in there. So I try to maintain my,
That's the whole thrill of it, though. It's the danger. It's the edge. It's like at any moment you could be ripped in half. So you got to be careful.
See, the truth is, if I was younger and it was just going to get my ass whooped, I might do that. But New York's become a little bit crazy in the last few years, so I don't want to die because of that. I don't want to get thrown under a train, or wind up beat so bad I'm like, stuck in a hospital with a feeding tube for what little time I have left. So, But
Yeah, probably best to avoid then.
I've done my best to stay out of trouble on the subway, and sometimes you just can't do anything about it. But I haven't really experienced any in a long time. I used to take the subway back and forth to high school, and it was just constant fighting, and I don't want to. I don't want to go. I don't want to go back to those days when the guy walks up to me and said I had to wear a jacket, like a jacket and tie to high school, and the guy comes up and goes, "It's a nice jacket. I want it." And I'm like, you're like,
Is it nice though? I guess take it.
I wasn't giving it up. I wasn't
Fair.
giving it up. And then, but that
I'm
was
a
also,
pussy though, so fair.
yeah. So that was back like in late 70s, early 80s when there were still men. And some guy stood up and interrupted it. And so I don't know that would happen today. Because now people just like, we're known for not paying attention to things going on, but it's risen to a whole new level.
Yeah,
You
the
know.
phone is a good excuse not to pay attention to anything while in public.
Exactly. Even though you're in the friggin' subway and you don't have any, you don't have Wi-Fi. So, but it's also very funny to watch. Like you can see when somebody's going. So you're sitting next to somebody, right? And you can hear that they're listening to music through their AirPods or whatever. And then when something will happen, there's a commotion or something, immediately the phones will come up, and they'll be like staring at their phone, like I can't, looking at absolutely nothing on their screen, like praying to God I can find a video or something. So it's all pretty funny. All right, so I do have a couple of questions for you. First off, like live streaming, do you keep, are you interested in all like in the monetization and how the money works or any of those things? Is that, or like YouTube statistics?
Am I interested in them? Yes, but for like I said, I'm not monetized. I'm still pretty small as a channel, and I get very few viewers, which I appreciate them when they show by. But I don't have enough of anything to look at. It would be nice to get to a monetization point because I would like, in a perfect world, I would like to do this full time, but that's not realistic to hope for and rely on. So that's why I have a full-time job.
And I've been putting your link in our chat, but why don't you say your channel name for us all?
You can find my YouTube channel at Insanity. It's INSANNEITY. It's like a pun of insanity, the word, and my name, Ann. So, yeah. You can also find my website. It's like right here. It's insanity.com. It's the same thing. And that's where more of my stuff is located. But all of my main content is right on my YouTube channel. YouTube is, for the most part, most reliable and the most consistent. Once I get the second computer set up, I'm going to try again multi-streaming because I would like to be on Twitch, Kick, and Rumble as well. Because my @tag is consistent, my branding is consistent, so it's easy to like find me in search algorithms and stuff like that. Only like 2 of like the main apps, services, social medias and stuff do I not have just @insanity. It's @insanity with 2 Y's. A good example is Twitter and Instagram. Both of them are 2 Y's because the 1 Y is taken.
It's I always laugh when I see like a name that's just like this crazy, like it's a person's name, and we'll ask for email addresses at work, and it'll be like John
Wahoo commit Mac.
John Radakinski the third Junior 001, and you're like, wait, there was somebody before you, and but it is. So I'm gonna see if I manage to do that. That's Annie's YouTube channel. Scrolling along down there, I can't really separate the. I can't take mine off, and I just tried to change it. Apparently, the YouTube link is too big to put in.
That's okay.
Evmux's thing. Yeah, but we want to do that. So everybody subscribe to Annie.
I appreciate it.
I was what do you call it? When I first came on, like I didn't know what I was doing, and I would just like let people go. I'd like, all right, well, great stream, whatever. And I kept getting reminded that I didn't let people do their plugs. So now I'm like kind of over the top with it because I'll still forget it at the end. So I try to get it in during the show. I'm
That's a
having
professional way to do it, to have it prepped and read it yourself and then give them the chance to do it themselves if they want to. I think, Carl and Blind Mike. Carl does it at the end where he plugs Blind Mike before Blind Mike can. I think that's a good strategy.
Yeah, it is. But the thing, and Carl's a professional, and I'm not, and that's one of the things. Like, and this is why, like, there's a lot of these guys like, oh, you're a ball washer for Carl or Melton or somebody like that. I so admire the way they run this. That that it's like it's a lot of work to get to that point. It's not easy. It's not, if you think you're just going to turn on, your webcam and microphone, unless you're very unique, which there may be people that are, but for the most part, it's like, it's not going to work. And it has to be done a certain way. But that's part of the thing with Carl is he is a nice guy. And I know people hate to want to hear that, but he really is, And so he does promote people and he does help people out. I just hope they don't run out of podcasts to cover or shows to cover. And I'd like the lawsuit to go away as well.
Fair. Although I don't think you have to worry about the first part, because if everyone on Earth except for WATP died and stopped making podcasts, he would still have podcasts to cover for quite a while.
Yeah. And you mentioned him earlier, but I don't know that too many people know who Patrick Michael is. If you're not a WATP listener, because Patrick doesn't get that much of an audience. But Patrick is a podcaster, but Patrick reinvents himself like every 5 minutes, right? And
very often, yeah.
And then the minute his channel gets any heat, he gets pissed off at the people. Like he got pissed off at WATP for covering him. And it would be like anybody else would kill for this kind of coverage. He gets pissed off at it and he shuts down the channel, and then you don't know where to find him again. And then he's back up at some other point.
His like most popular channel right now is Crawl Space. And it's basically just his old channel where he like will review a comedian or like a drama about it and like play clips and do his commentary on it. He's improved a lot in his production and everything like that. And he has seemingly a decent amount of subscribers. It's hard to tell how much interaction he gets because he deletes comments and he limits comment interaction and stuff like that. But he seemingly is actually garnering growth without WATP because WATP hasn't really mentioned Crawl Space.
Oh yeah, so that's interesting. Oh wait, I'm sorry there. Leo Gunn, Schmuel doesn't know from Sopranos or Balsamic. I know Sopranos and I know Balsamic. I was actually robbed by guys that thought they were like the junior Sopranos. Robbed at gunpoint by a couple of young Italian kids, and they weren't that smart though, because they were saying they were telling people they were from the mafia, and they were coming back, and the actual criminals in the mafia were pissed off at them because they were so stupid and the things that they were doing. They might have helped a little bit in catching these guys, but and this is very funny. Anthony Cumia, is Schmuel trying to worm his way into WATP TSN world. This is obviously not the Anthony Cumia. And I know those guys. I'm actually, I'm friendly with Shuli. We talk. And no, the answer is no. So I am not qualified for that. So there we go. And yeah, Leo Gunn, those damn Italians. It was the Jerky Boys. Do you remember the Jerky Boys?
No.
Oh my god! So they were like kings of prank phone call.
I know John barely poorly mimics some of their stuff sometimes.
Yeah, and these guys were all from the same neighborhood, and it was sort of where low-level mobsters came out of. Like their neighborhood was where the low-level guys would come out of in that part of Queens, and it was just very funny because it was like you almost knew when they called themselves by the name of their neighborhood, and you were like, it's gonna be frightened of them, you know. But the Jerky Boys were from the same place, and there's some whatever the word is, conflation, and some not really that. There's some mixing of things. So Flimsy and I apologize for that multiple times, Schmuel. Enough already. They, what can I tell you? It's part of the story is, I'm sorry, but part of the story is that the people that actually robbed me, not the wheelman, but the two guys that came in with the gun, were brothers. And the reason why I got robbed that morning was because the younger brother had been charged with, had a domestic abuse charge on him, and he needed to raise bail money, and he had a court appointment at 1:00. So from like 9 a.m. till about 12, they were out holding up places, and I hope my $105 helped them. But they were caught, so which is pretty interesting.
So you were just in the right place at the wrong time?
Yeah, it was I own a business, and it was a client that clued them into me.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, one of my clients, and he was a wheelman. He was outside sitting in the car, driving them around. And it was very funny because when they got caught, now they had a gun, right? They had a gun. I got poked in the head a couple of times with it. But they were nasty, and they had robbed like 15 or 20 places over a period of time. And they were real scumbags when they were in your place. Like they would, kind of like, I just as soon kill you as, whatever. Like, I don't give a shit. Blah,
You're
blah.
telling me the men committing crimes to pay for their previous crime are scumbags?
Yeah. But what was so funny is when they got arrested, and like all through this process that we could see them, they were like, no, we would never have done that. No, there was no firing pin in that. I don't know why these people are so upset, and but it blew me away, but that it was crazy. It was insane. The thing. Anyway, there we go. Big W. My wife's up there poking around like she knows what the fuck she's doing. I just thought that was a nice random non sequitur. So when the reason why I'm asking is because one of the things that a YouTube axiom is that 30% of the stuff that we put out is watched live. That everything is 30%. And this guy Michael Fryer, I'm not going to play the video, but he said it's true, but it's also not true, because they're lumping in the numbers, and almost of the 30% that are watching live, 96% are watching news, CNN and that stuff,
okay.
and breaking news. So it's like small creators, they're not watching live. And that's this guy's thing is live is he's not saying it's not important. And that wasn't what he was saying. It's very important. A lot of people like to watch live, but his thing was a lot of people are ignoring the stuff that goes up, later recordings and things and that kind of stuff. But I was surprised when I saw it because I'd never thought about it. And I was like, yeah, it is a little bit deceptive of YouTube to do that because that's what they're encouraging you to do. But we're such a small part of their business.
Most of the time where I get like a spike or like any consistent large viewer base is when I'm streaming later at night and people, whatever they were watching, closes and they autoplay into my stuff, and there are people that are like sleeping and just idly watching my stream.
Yeah.
I remember one night there was like 160 people concurrent, and there was like one or two people that are like, oh, nice to see you, bye, and then would just drop out of chat. So it was, I guess whatever they were all watching closed and somehow shifted them into mine through algorithm. So it's a good reinforcement of the mentality of success is preparation and opportunity. So, you know, if I have all this content and I'm putting out it and I'm being consistent, maybe one of these times when one of these channels close and dumps viewers onto me, it'll actually be people that are awake.
Well, that was pretty much this guy's point, was that it was kind of more important to be consistent than to be live, and it's best to be live but also be consistent, right? Like, don't hold off putting stuff up because you can't go live. You got to keep you have to keep your audience engaged and stuff. I'm into that back end thing. But you just said something in one of his points he raised. He was going over some of the channels that get the most viewers, and one of them is a clownfish in an aquarium that swims back and forth and gets hundreds of thousands of views a day. And he's like, well, this is what you're competing with, you know? And I thought it was hilarious. And I do laugh in the internet where we've got like Karmic will have like 117 viewers in his chat. It's 117 viewers. And he'll be like, I'm killing it, you know? And because he's comparing the 30 that somebody else has. So it's amazing. That part I find funny.
It's amazing how small fish this end of our community is fishing for. Like, you know, we have 20, 30 people watching this, and, you know, that's nothing in the grand ecosystem, despite the fact that some other people get 4 or 6 or 16, you know, they can't hit that 20 mark. Hell, I rarely ever hit double digits. So, you know, for somebody in our level, this is a bigger stream.
Yeah, and it's interesting because what happens too is when people start to get a little bit bigger, somebody else who is essentially the same size audience or less starts fighting, and they start disliking each other. And it's really that, you know, sort of crabs in the pot analogy, which is, you know, if I can't get out, you're not getting out. And so they just keep pulling each other down. It's a very strange phenomenon to me, because I'm like, this pie is so big. Somebody taking a piece is not going to negatively affect your piece. But
no, probably not. And maybe if it does, it's $1.50, you know.
yeah, and it's you know, I laughed because when I first started doing this, Dave Sauer and I used to talk on the phone, and then he was like, we should do this online, and then that's kind of how it got started. And he said he didn't want to go on a certain night because he didn't want to stream against somebody. He didn't think that was right to do. So we picked that's where we came up with Tuesdays and Thursdays. And what's so funny is the guy that he said that he didn't want to go up against went up against us the next week. And it was hilarious. And he never had done a show on a Tuesday before, and then all of a sudden was doing Tuesday shows. And I'm like, oh, this is insane. And then I just realized you just have to do what you're going to do and not worry about it. And that was my thing. All right. How do you? We've talked about live viewers. One last question for you. How do you feel about this? About stream sniping?
I don't care. I mean, if all you're doing is just watching it with no creativity at all, it can be, a little whatever. You're just like harvesting viewers because you don't like them. Some people that I like have done streams that like are similar to that, but I feel like they have enough of a take on it with like drops or stuff like that to make it entertaining if it's just like a direct snipe. But then there's people like Obnoxious John who will capture the whole thing but mute it, take him off the screen, do little conversations, banter with the audience. It's a lot more than just watching the guy and being like, well, that was stupid. So stream snipes are the same with kind of any other content. There's really shitty stream snipes that are boring and crap to watch, and then there's really fun ones.
Yeah, and it came up again for me because of the OJ stream snipe.
I guess.
John.
Sorry, before you go in, technically, I guess I stream snipe because sometimes somebody will be live and I'll be gaming, and my setup is my camera's in the top right, the game's like the main part of the screen, and the top left is usually what I'm watching or listening to. So sometimes I'll be listening to Who Are These Broadcasts or Melton or Uncle Rico, and it'll be live, and I'll technically be stream sniping, even though that's not the focus of my stream at all. It is just being played on my stream while they are streaming. So it's not directly a stream snipe, but it is. So there's tons of different levels to it. So casting any blanket opinion on it, I think, is a little hasty.
That may be, yeah. That's why I have like mixed feelings about it. I used to get very annoyed when Kevin Brennan would just every time Ray would go live, Kevin would go live because he knew he was the bigger show and he knew that the people would watch him, and Ray would get piss poor numbers and get piss poor super chats. Now, the other side of that coin is these guys tell me, no, Ray gets more super chats when he's being stream sniped than when he doesn't. I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but it felt lazy to me. It felt like, this way Kevin was just using Ray for content and making money off it. I didn't think it was that transformative. I watched the OJ thing, because I thought it was just like a stream snipe, and I watched it, and OJ does do a lot of taking him off. He's not full screen, makes comments during it. So there's a lot of transformation. But I'm wondering, I was reading something from YouTube that this is like, this is something that they're going to be, they're looking, when they talk about like reused content.
Content ID matching.
Right. And they're also talking about like people that just that constantly reuse other people's content without legitimately transforming it. And one of the things that they're looking for is like AI voices. So,
yeah.
which is going to be kind of interesting because it'll be like somebody would just run your stream and then have AI just comment on it to make it seem like it was transformative, but there's no real live person there. So, but I think we're at the very beginning of all this, and how it's going to look in 4 or 5 years is going to be completely different.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that you either have to roll with or it's something you're going to get swept under. This is a big new tech. It's it's different to scale it to like other inventions or things that have come out in the last decade, 20 years or anything like the last big thing that kind of just swept and changed the entire face of the world was like the internet. And now this is a new type of internet, so it's you have to either go with it or you're going to be left behind.
Well, that's I had a conversation with the guy who used to be the general manager of WINS 1010 News in New York City, and it's give us 22 minutes and we'll give you the world. And they used to have a teletype that always sounded it. That was their music. That was their bed. Was a teletype, and they finally got rid of that a few years ago. But this guy was saying to me, and he went from that. He was very big in radio, and he was like, Sirius radio, all these guys, they ignored podcasting. They were like, yeah, it's never going to be anywhere. They couldn't envision you being able to listen to YouTube live in your car.
Listen to what you want, when you want, whenever you want.
Right. And because the cost seems so prohibitive, and it was even just like the transmission costs. So it would be like, oh, Wi-Fi. He'll never be able to afford that, because when it first came out, you had Wi-Fi in cars. It could be $50, $100 a month just for your car, and the streaming capabilities of it were shit because you weren't getting speed and you couldn't do video. And they really missed the boat, and they're really paying for it today. And there's, like this guy says, there's no money in these things. And the same thing with TV. And now you're seeing with TV where everybody's coming up with their own streaming service. So we're going to be in a place where I think we're going to start to see streaming services go out of business.
A lot of the ones that don't have a worthwhile catalog, or anything to really keep you in, and especially if the bigger ones keep wasting money on worthless first-party projects.
Yeah, and Disney now owns Hulu, and Hulu will probably shut down at some point. And I'm laughing about HBO spent millions to rebrand to Max, right? And now they're back to HBO. And it makes zero, it's like one of these things that makes zero sense. But in that question, and I'll ask you this, what did, like, numbers wise or size wise, what does like Twitch and YouTube, like, and Kick, is like YouTube just huge and the other one's very small, or are they much bigger but with a different segment of the audience?
My understanding of it is YouTube is a lot more of like a level. You have hills, peaks, valleys, and like spikes and stuff like that. But Twitch and Kick are basically clones because they literally use the same code. They're just Kick is Twitch but green. So the way it works typically is if you're looking for anything in any category, the top is at the top and the bottom's at the bottom. And unless you want to scroll down to the bottom or invert the searching, you're not going to find any small people because that's not what's being recommended or served to you. It's only the top people at the top that get shown. And it's one of those things that you kind of have to fight in any way to get to anywhere. Like, I don't know the stat, but I believe there's somewhere like 90% of Twitch broadcasters that are in the bottom, like 80%. Like, there's nobody watching so much of Twitch content. When I'm broadcasting on Twitch, I only get bots. I don't think I've ever gotten a live viewer.
Really? And when you're doing, and is Kick the same? And does this have to do with, does some of this, the YouTube algorithm seems to be able to catch a lot of crap? Like, the thing with the YouTube algorithm that's different is like it's safe for advertisers, right? Because
generally,
YouTube,
yeah.
Right, because for the most part, right, it's mostly safe for advertisers. So, you're not going to find like Procter & Gamble advertising on the Hitler Youth channel, right? And whereas on Rumble, or the copyright stuff, but like on Rumble, it's like it doesn't seem to know or care what you're doing. And I'm just like, and that's why I think it doesn't make any money, because I think if it made money, they would be going after it.
I think, off topic a little bit, but the Rumble's main problem is a lot of their shit is just foreign. It doesn't work like other stuff, and it is clunky and clumsy, and sometimes just doesn't work the way you would expect it to. And then on top of that, because of just like on other platforms, I watch ads. On Rumble, I get AI slop like text to speech shit, and it's just like I cannot wait to skip this fucking ad and actually get to what I'm looking at. And that is the problem with all three of these platforms, in my experience, is Twitch, Kick, and Rumble all have like pre-rolls. So even if you want to go and find a smaller channel, sometimes you'll click in and be like, oh, well, that thumbnail looks pretty interesting. Like, just based on just this thumbnail right here, I got a lot going on. I got colors and effects and stuff like that. And just a thumbnail could be like, oh, well, that looks interesting. I wonder what's the deal with those screens. And it might be something to click onto. But then you click on it and then you have to wait for 2 minutes of ads. You just be like, nah, no thanks. I'm just going to go watch anything else.
And the odds are the ads are not going to be something that's of interest to you. Yeah.
No, I rarely ever get ads that are interesting or tailored to me. Most of the times when I get ads, it's for stuff that I've already purchased. Like after buying my little digital notebook here, I got that fucking ad for it for like 6 months. And I'm like, I own it. I can't, what do you want me to buy a second one? Fuck you. Like, can I check this? Like, I wouldn't mind subscribing and doing more ad tailor content to me because I like advertisement. I like marketing. I'm interested in it. I like a good commercial. And most of the time when I see it, it's just like, it's a product I'm never going to buy, or it's something I already own.
Yeah, it's interesting. I tend to pay, I always pay more to not have ads. That's like my thing. I can't stand watching ads. And I was a fan of Pat Dixon, and I would watch Pat's show on Rumble, and when it was live, it wasn't a problem. But if I went back to watch the replay, it would just be, they just seemed to come up for no rhyme or reason, and he would
just
be
in
like
the middle of sentences. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I guess that happens on YouTube too, but not with the frequency, or there's got to be something that they know how to, that they're doing that's different. But they do get that advertiser trust. That's one of the reasons why they kick people off so readily or demonetize them, and they don't care about it, because even if you have 1,000 viewers, you're still small potatoes compared to somebody else, you know?
Yeah, unless you're bringing in multiple number figures a month, you're not even worth a second glance.
Right. And they do break it. They can break it down into like sort of really interesting stuff. So if you have a guy that's doing high-end, like say high-end watches, and like talking about like a boring podcast about watches and, movements and things like that, but the watches that he sells, start at $8,000. Those guys, that's for YouTube. That's great. 1,000 viewers is great, because those people that are his viewers, they know have money and they know we're going to do it. Private pilot channels, stuff like that, that regularly draw, but for just regular entertainment, they're not going to do it. They won't do anything. And then finally in this, which is part of the same thing, does going viral mean anything anymore?
That specifically, no. I think we need to create like a new term for like where things used to be viral consideration. It's become so muddied, like, because it used to be like a metric of like 250,000 over this amount of time in this span, reaching this many networks or whatever, and that would be considered like a viral thing. But one platform can reach 10 million in 24 hours, depending on the size of the content creator. Is that viral? I don't know. I mean, it's on that platform, sure, but does it go anywhere else? I don't know. So the short answer is no, not really. Saying you went viral, like, I think a good recent example of it would be Hawk Tuah. I think she did literally go viral. It just suddenly exploded and she was everywhere all at once and had all of this shit and then couldn't handle it and fucked it all up. But that's because it was a viral thing. She was just handed all of this success and responsibility and had no real training or ability to handle it, which, it's a shame because she seemed like a nice lady, but if you say my video went viral, no, that doesn't really mean anything unless it turns into like a Hawk to It kind of thing now.
Yeah, and because it used to be like I remember like on Twitter the first time, if you got like a big star of some sort to retweet you, or to like your tweet or whatever, you'd get 40, 50 followers. Boom, like right away, or more, or hundreds even, depending upon the size. And now it's like it doesn't do anything. It doesn't change anything. Um, and but I hear people like, oh, this video is going to go viral, and I'm like, does that even really mean, what it used to mean? And the when it comes to that, the the Wall Street Journal had done like an article on these kids that the parents pushed them into being influencers and stuff like that. And you have people with 100,000 viewers or 200,000 subscribers, and they're making like $35,000 a year, $40,000 a year. That's not a lot of money for the amount of work and time and everything that they have to put into it, and the lifespan of it is very short. So, Hawk Tuah to me reminds me of Stuttering John in a way, which is won the lotto, wound up back where they were before they won, only she did it faster. And but the thing that's sad about her, like you said, she seemed perfectly nice, but she got hooked up with the wrong people. And that's that meme coin or whatever it was, just it killed her and it killed everything she did. And then Carl played she flew to London and did that big podcast, and it was awful. Like there was nothing creative to it, and it just died. But in any event, I'm gonna let you go. But is there anything you wanted to close up with or say or?
I wanted to say thank you for having me on. And if anyone wants to have me on their little show or bigger show or whatever size show you have on, I'm always happy to, as long as you can work around my work schedule, because unfortunately I have to have a full-time job so I can support what I actually like to do. So normally I'm available on like Wednesdays and Tuesdays, but with how much other stuff I do on those days, it's hard. So late night on a weekday or really early in the morning, it really depends, It sucks that I can't commit to anything just immediately because, it's hard to work around other people's schedule if they already have a set schedule. Because most days I'm busy between like 3 Eastern all the way until 10 Eastern. So that's when most people do their shows. So it's just shitty where I am for that part. But if you do want to catch me during the weeks, just check out my website, check out my YouTube channel. I do game streams. I check out Dabbleverse stuff, and occasionally I just sit around and talk. Like tomorrow, I'll be doing the Warp Zone, where I wrap up what I've been up to, talk more about this computer shit, and the movie that I watched tonight with my friend.
Cool. What movie was that?
Tonight we watched the Scooby-Doo movie, the first one, the live action one.
Sorry. I have Husey asking me if I've seen the Bruce Springsteen movie, and I'm like, the thing only came out last weekend. Yeah. And we did Tony from Hack the Movies. I'm sure you know Tony.
Yep. I want to do an episode with him of my show. Him and I agreed to do Siphon Filter, but I haven't started it because I have other obligations. Once I clear my plate, I already have the game downloaded and installed, and I'll start playing it. And
I just want to say that you were very sweet to me in helping me out and helping me with my tech stuff, and it was great. And it's like I don't want to say, because I don't want everybody asking you questions, but and taking up your time. But you helped me. I know that you helped Echo, and you're pretty goddamn smart about this stuff. So let's hope it does work, and that you are doing this full time.
Well, thanks. It's a passion and a hobby, and hopefully one day it could be a career.
That would be very cool. Thank you so much, Annie. I really appreciate your being here, and we'll see you soon. And I'm going to let you go, and then I'm going to close out with these guys. So thanks. Have a great night.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye-bye. And all right, guys, that was Annie. And I I hope you enjoyed that. And I'm just gonna switch gears immediately, and let's go to the chat real quick. Did anybody see the debate? Um, and what were the thoughts on that? I'm seeing some stuff, and Annie does rule. Annie's like the greatest, and I really enjoy having her on, and I'm so happy that she was able to come on. And it's funny because I was like afraid almost to ask her because I'm like, oh, I know that she's so busy, and I'm sure that everybody wants her um, to do to be on stream. So oh, there she goes, Annie Orion. All right, and her link is scrolling along the bottom of the screen. Um, all right, did anybody see this Chad thing, or should I just get a hold of my boy Dave and ask him? I was kind of looking for because I see uh nice podcast. Stupid. Why did you run from Dougie tonight? I didn't see that. Um oh guys, Dang Lizard is doing a premiere on his channel in 10 minutes. Dang is the best. Um and hold on, I think we're done here. And Cigarette Jones, Chad stinks. Um Mama B, Dan showed up completely unprepared. I was shocked. Chad dominated. Um, I it just what I noticed, and this just may be apocryphal and not realistic or whatever, but what it appeared to me to happen was Chad said, "Oh, he was going to debate all of his detractors," and then he blocked all of the main guys. Like he certainly wasn't going to debate Cardiff or anybody else who thought it would be fun. Um, Final boss, I swear to God, that was it. Oh, there we go. Hold on. It just went like Dan's normal show where he asks them baiting questions. Did Chad take the bait? What I saw very little of it, and they were talking about the girlfriend and like was she real or not, and then Chad saying he sleeps in a separate room, and like my first thought was, oh, it's his roommate, and oh, debate where Chad cries about Melton to his underdressed therapist. Um, interesting. What do you call it? Chad had said on stream that he wanted to be interviewed by me, um, but I DM'd him and he didn't remember doing that, and so it never really happened. Um, so interesting. I was wondering if there was any heat there or whatnot. When I was watching little Dave, Sarah, who was doing like a talk about it at the same time, and it didn't seem like it was going anywhere. Um, and two guys with ball caps and sunglasses inside is a little bit. I was like, oh, they ought to take off the hats and just at least see who has more hair. That would have been funny to me. In any event, Mama B, it was the first interesting Chad content in over a year or so. Yeah, the question is, look, to not defend Dan necessarily, but to be somebody who has been in these situations with people, there's a certain amount of, you don't want to ask too negative a question because then you feel like the guy's going to pop off. And what do you call it? Like the person you're there to talk to is going to leave, but then you also can't leave like stuff sitting on the table because like Chad stuff doesn't make, some of it just doesn't make sense. When I heard him say, "Oh, Melton turned all these people on me," I mean that's really got to be a follow through question, right? Like, what do you mean about that? And so I didn't see any of that, but I also guess that maybe you didn't. I don't know. Maybe you didn't want to do it. Maybe that's why Um, he blocked all of the big namers and then just went for sort of low impact people that he knew or knows are not going to have an effect one way or the other. And he doesn't watch your show. I asked him today, Buckman. Oh, cool. I mean, I know, but I do know he was watching the Ray thing that Ray and I did last week. So there was that. NJ Ranger 499. Chad offered 2 weeks ago $100 for 1 hour. Any one of his haters to go up against him. Last week I accepted. Chad suddenly had amnesia about all this. So you're it's like Doodle, right? Like I didn't expect the guy to die. I guess he didn't think anybody was gonna take him up on it. But I gotta say, NJ, I wouldn't want to go up against you. So I'm not surprised. But he definitely said that he wanted to be interviewed by me. I know he said he doesn't watch the show, but I also know that he says he had no idea who I am. He has nothing, couldn't remember me, couldn't do anything. And when I met him in Atlantic City, the first words out of his mouth were, "Boy, you really go hard on me." So I guess he does know. So once again, Chad is just making shit. Early onset Joe Rogan's disease. Yeah, I don't know if that was the deal. Dan was banned from O&A forums for being in the feds to their doorstep with a violent fugitive. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know a lot about Dan other than the O&A forums and some beef with like a Patrick Tomlinson, I guess, is pretty public. And a woman who was, I think she's like a politician, sort of press secretary or something. But yeah, I don't know. But I'm surprised. I would have thought it would have, from what I saw now, maybe I just missed the good part, but it didn't look very, what's the word I'm trying to say? It looked like it was too, it was soft. It wasn't tough. I think I did the, what do you call it? It'd be like, Kamala debating Joy Reid kind of thing. So there we go. Oh, there you go, Mama B. Jackie Singh. I could not remember the life of me for the other one. All right, Mama B, I'm not going to put that up only because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But I'm hearing this.
Shut up, Schmuel. Shut up, Schmuel.
So it's time for me to go. Oh my God, that would have been the funniest fucking thing in the world, right? The two of them using their crazy words and stuff. And I do have to say, just a quick comment, and then I really am out of here. But the Joey C saying that he could, like, with one snap of the fingers, make karmic disappear from the Dabbleverse. I kind of think that was funny. Dr. Chow, it was a gentlemanly conversation. Gotcha. I gotcha. And look, that happens. That's happened to me. So, yeah. And, sometimes you go in, you're all, you want to be balls to the wall, but then you get there and you can't do it. So, I am going to close with a little quick YouTube short, and I have no idea why I found this so funny, but I always find stupid shit funny. And let's do this. And when this ends, I will not be back. So there we go. And you probably have all seen this already, but let's do it.
The East, and we have come, saw his star in the East, and we have come saw his star in the east, and we have come